maybe that's a little bit easier to read. Blow it up if you're in the back. Okay, so they're saying that the speed limit here is 25 miles per hour. They did, I think, a simple random sample of cars going through, and they clocked how fast they were going, and this is the results. So I'm going to put all of these into my L1. Here's data in L1, and then we're going to run our one-bar stats. If you have one of the newer calculators, you want to be sure that your frequency list is deleted. Set calc one-bar stats. I don't need to do anything else with it because I don't have a frequency list anymore. For this one, it's just a list of numbers, so I don't need to worry about my L2. I can just say L1, that's where I put them, that's the only thing I care about, and that's going to get me my answer. If you have a newer calculator, your list is going to be L1, your frequency list needs to be deleted. You don't want it to be L1, you don't want it to be L2, you just want it to be blank. And then once you do that, you get your average speed, 32 miles per hour, but that's not what we want. We need to scroll down to the bottom, and then these are going to be our quartiles here. The 28, the 32.5, and the 38. We've got 3 quartiles altogether. Let's go to the bottom. Q1, 28, median, 38. That's all you need to do in your calculator. So when I have this one on the test, I made it so that you have a list. It's not too long. It's not like 50. But it's maybe 15 to 20-ish numbers that you'll have to put in your L1, and then I ask you to do basically all of your one-bar stats. So I ask you to do the mean, the standard deviation, what is going to become your 5-number summary, which involves these ones right here. That way you don't have to repeatedly put new numbers into your L1. The problem with that is if you type it in wrong, you're going to miss all of those subparts. So when you have that one and there's a bunch of little parts underneath of it, it's asking you questions from the one-bar stats. Just go through and double check your numbers that you put them in right, otherwise you're going to get all of those little subsections wrong. So just double check when you put those into your L1 on the test for that one. Okay, so our interpretation says, what percent of the speeds are less than or equal to the first quartile, 28 miles per hour? So 28, that's our first quartile, that's right here. So 25% of the data are less than it, and then the 75% over here are greater than it. So this one's going to be 75%. Oh, sorry, 25% are less than it, 25% of them are greater. If we look at the second quartile, that's the same thing as the median. That's 32.5, so if we look right here, 32.5 right here in the middle, we've got 50% are less than it and 50% are greater than it. So down here to fill it in for our interpretation, 50% are going to be less than or equal to, 50% are going to be greater than. And then the last one, 38, that's our third quartile. If you look at where the third quartile is, that's right here. We've got 75% are less than it and 25% are greater than it. So this one would be 75% are less than or equal to and 25% are greater than. And so in your homework you'll have to type in those numbers once you find your quartiles just to interpret what they mean. once you've done that, the next thing we're going to talk about is the interquartile range, which they abbreviate IQR. And the way they interpret that is it's the range of the middle 50% of the observations in the data set. Range. So they have the formula down here that we're going to write in. But this one won't be given to you on a test because it's going to be something that you can probably get at yourself. So if we're talking about the interquartile range, range means the difference between the largest and the smallest. But it's the interquartile range, so it's the range of the quartiles. So if you look at your quartiles, the largest one is Q3, the smallest one is Q1. So we're just going to take the difference between those two things, and that's going to be my interquartile range. So the largest quartile is Q3, and I'm going to subtract the smallest quartile, which is Q1. That's basically just taking the range of the quartiles, Q3 minus. Okay, so we're going to find, I don't know why I left this one so blank, we don't really need that much work, space to work, but we're going to find the interquartile range of the speed data. So to find our interquartile range, we're going to do Q3 minus Q1. For that example, I think it was 38 and 28. So 38 is the largest one, 28 is the smallest one, and that's going to be 10. And that's our interquartile range. And then our interpretation, it's going to be the range of the middle 50% of the speed of cars traveling through the construction zone is 10 miles per hour. So if all we're looking at is the 50% in the middle, we're going to find the range of those two things. So I'll come back to this if you're still writing it down. But if we've got our graph up here of what this is, here is our here's our first quartile, here's our third quartile. We've got 50% altogether, so in between these things we've got 50% of our data value, so this is the middle 50%. So if we're only looking at the middle 50%, we don't care about these people over here, we don't care about these people over here. Just the people in the middle, then the range of the 50% in the middle is going to be Q3 minus Q1. So that's what the interquartile range is looking at, and that's how you'll interpret it. So when you have this one on the homework, I think you just have to type in the 10 for those ones. I don't think you need to come up with this part of it. If you do, this one would just be a drop-down menu for you to select that.